Hello, so in this quick tech bite, I'll be showing you some animation with inside the SIMATIC WinCC comfort panels. So if we just dive into the portal and go straight to a screen here, you'll notice I'm using the devices from our HMI template suite. But for now, we'll just be using the screen to see some animation. So in my toolbox, Siemens does provide some ready-made icons to indicate something is turning or something is on or something is off. So as an example, the most simplest indication of whether something is on or off is a color change on an icon. So if we want to use these down here, we could say, well, gray is going to be the indication that it is off, and green is going to be the indication that it is on. So all we need to do is animate the visibility of the green one to say whether it is on or off. So go into the animations tab, we get the ability to change the visibility. We can say, yep, let's animate that. There's currently no tags in my project, so I'll quickly do it on the fly. Motor on, we'll make this a Boolean. There we go. And we'll say when that Boolean is 1, this indicates that the motor is on, and we want the green icon to display. We can obviously then overlay these two objects. If we just highlight them both, come to the selection at the top for aligning of objects, we can say overlay on top of each other. And don't forget, if you want to get at the object that is now behind this graphic, then simply put it on a different layer. So currently they're both on layer 0. We could put the top one on layer 1. And then if we wanted to get the one behind, we can go to our layers, turn off layer 1, and there's the object behind. If I want to edit it, and turn that layer back on to see what's occurring there. So let's quickly have the ability to toggle whether the motor is on or off. We'll do this with a button. So it's going to be our motor on button, and all we need to do is just toggle the Boolean to say that my motor is on. There we go. And if we now simulate this, we'll get indication via green or gray whether it is on or off. So it's currently off, now it's on, currently off, on. There you go. So this is, of course, using two objects. I showed you they're overlaid on top of each other. You could achieve this same functionality with just one object, though, by using a graphics list. So if we come into our HMI device, down here we get graphics lists. Because I'm using the template suite, there's quite a few ready-made text lists and graphics lists within inside of here. You can see there's some here for indication of states of machines and various different things. But we're going to make a new one, so we'll call this motor state. And again, we'll use those same icons. So gray and green, 0 for off, 1 for on. So this is the value that will display those different graphics. If we go back to my screen, we can then drop that graphics list on the screen. So we can do it in multiple ways, but an easy way is to say graphics list. You see them in the details view, and then bring it in. We can apply some basic properties to this to perhaps fit it to the size of the graphic and turn away, make it a transparent background. All we then need to do is tag up the graphics list. So you can see here, 0 and 1. It's going to be the indication. So we'll tag that up again to motor on. And let's just fix that so it looks nice. Put it back into simulation. Exactly the same behavior that we had with the two graphics overlaid on top of each other. But now it's just one object on the screen, which makes it a lot easier to handle within inside of our editor. Of course, if you want, the graphics list could be expanded. If you weren't using a Boolean for on-off, if you had an integer value that perhaps gave you different states, like on, off, and error, then you can do that in a graphics list as well, and perhaps add a different color to indicate that the motor is in error. People like this, but also they want to see animation. What about something turning when my motor's on? If we go back into our graphics down here, then you'll see we also give you some graphics for doing animation. So different colors, but essentially looking down a motor shaft in the different various rotations. So we could say this is my base move, and then here we have maybe like an offset move to show it's moving. And a simple way to achieve this kind of look as if something is moving without much effort is to flash something on top of the other. So if I grab this object here and I say I want it to flash, there you go. I could then overlay that on top of the other one, put this into a simulate, and you'll now see by flashing the offset icon on top of another one, it gives you the appearance that it's actually rotating. Of course, you can then tag this up to say only work if the motor is in run. To do that, we can just use the same visibility animation we already created on the previous motor icon, put it in simulate again, and now we get that ability to turn on and off the rotating. So it's not rotating, now it's rotating, not rotating, now it's rotating. So this is nice, just by flashing. Or if we want to make it look a bit smoother, again, we fall back onto graphics lists. So you can see we've got the 4 icons here to give us a nice smooth rotating animation. So let's go back to graphics lists. Let's make a new one called motor rotate, maybe. We can now use all 4 of these offset animations. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And we'll give them an ID of 0 to 3 as our number sequence. We can again put this graphics list on our screen. So let's do that with a different method. There we go. Again, we can then change the appearance to take away the background and make it fit to the object size. There we go. Of course, we'll only want this animation to display when the motor's on. So let's again copy our animation of visibility from the previous one onto this one. And of course, we'll then also need the one behind to be behind it to give us the look and feel that it's not moving. So let's just fix what I broke there. Of course, I didn't use the layers, which is why it's getting a bit fiddly to do, but we can just overlay those as well. So there we go. Now with that appearing, all I need to do is put a tag on the graphics list so that it will cycle between the 0 and the 3. You can see the graphics list in here as well. It's cycle from 0 to 3 to give me the appearance that it's rotating. So let's create ourselves a new tag. We'll call it motor animation. This is, of course, going to be an integer because it needs to go from 0 to 3. And now we just need a way of animating this. So on the screen events, I've clicked the screen, I've clicked in events, loaded event of the screen. There's a system function called simulate tag. There you go. The tag we're going to simulate is our motor animation. What this allows you to do is increment a tag from a minimum value, which is 0. Maximum value is going to be 3 in our case, and we're going to increase it 1 every time. The cycle is set to 1, and essentially this is how frequently do you want to apply a new value to this. So a cycle of 1 means every 200 milliseconds. So if I was to do 2 cycles, this would be every 400 milliseconds. If I was to do 5 cycles, this would be every second. So let's leave it like this for now. Let's click the old simulate button, and we should then get the ability of something rotating. Turn the motor on, and there you go. There's my flash, and there's my smooth rotating. Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. There you go. So there you go, a quick tech bite on how you can do some animation within the comfort panels.